Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to be talking about Marvel's Nova and why he's my favorite superhero of all time. I started first reading Nova during the Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning series, which came right off the heels of Annihilation, which was this huge Marvel cosmic event that really reshaped the whole cosmic cosmology for a long time to come right after that important event. Basically, that series involved this character called Annihilus, who's a longtime Fantastic Four villain, and he basically invaded our universe and tried to take it over. And Nova was a very important figure in that. Basically, Nova's a lot like Green Lantern, where they all have a similar uniform and they have the core, right? So there's the Nova Corps, and every single Nova Corps member was recalled to Xandar, which is their homeworld, and they all were basically gearing up to go attack Annihilus head on. They were ready to go. Everyone was pumped, and then boom, Annihilus does a sneak attack on them, basically wipes everyone out except for Nova, Richard Rider, and he's basically the last member of this corps that was supposed to protect the universe in case of events that happen like this. And now he's alone, except he's not, because he's got a world mind, which is basically this supercomputer that contains the memories of all the greatest minds that have ever been a part of the Nova Corps and the planet Xandar. So basically, he's got a little AI buddy in his helmet that could help him in situations. And basically, Nova basically leads the charge to go kick Annihilus's ass for trying to take over the universe. And eventually, they do succeed. Nova, in one of those badass moments in comic history, in my opinion, reaches into Annihilus's mouth and rips out his guts. Like, he fucking Mortal Kombats this guy, and it was pretty awesome. But besides that, Nova is probably my favorite superhero because of how well-rounded he is and how much of a leader he is. I'm really gravitated towards leader characters in comics, like especially if they have like a secondary leadership role, like leader of a nation, like Black Panther or Aquaman or Black Bolt, Exo Manowar. They're leaders and they're also like figureheads, like kings and stuff. Nova's not that. He's the leader of the Nova Corps now, but essentially what I'm trying to say is that Nova is a leader. I read once that someone said that his personality is like a mix between Captain America and Luke Skywalker. I thought that was a brilliant like analogy for who he is, because he is kind of like a farm boy where he grew up on Long Island, I believe. He was just this kid, and then he's bestowed with these amazing cosmic powers. And then when he goes to space and he finds out that there's no one there to lead all these ragtag heroes trying to save the universe, he kind of steps up and becomes the man that leads the charge. And that's much of the reason why I like Nova. Another reason why I love Nova is because he was kind of my gateway drug into the Marvel Cosmic Universe, which is this huge, expansive, like decades of history of different cosmic characters. And he was kind of my gateway into that because in the Dan Abnett series, he's basically the last Centurion, the last Nova that has to kind of protect the universe. So he's bouncing back and forth to different planets, kind of like not even taking a break. And you kind of get like a feel for what this universe is like. And one of the best stories of that run, he comes up against Galactus, and it's just this one guy trying to take on basically a god, and he's like, along with Worldmind, he's kind of coordinating like, oh, okay, we got to rescue these people here, we got to go rescue these people here, we got to tell the leaders of this planet to get the hell off this world because Galactus is about to eat it. And then he also has to go and kind of try to talk to Galactus, but in this version, Galactus is like so above mortals that he doesn't even respond to Nova. He's basically a little fly trying to tell him to stop eating. So it kind of shows you how desperate this universe is. This is not like a joke. There's this scene in Nova issue like number 3 of this run where he rips off like a Star Wars poster. It's not really Star Wars because this was before Disney owned Marvel, so they kind of I think it's called Space Wars or something. But he rips off the poster and he's basically like, that's not what space is like. Space, you could die out here. This is the Wild West, basically. There's good guys and there's also bad guys, but the bad guys are as hard as they come out here. And so yeah, Nova kind of introduced me to the Guardians of the Galaxy and Silver Surfer, the Annihilators who appear later in this run, Thanos, and the whole cosmology, which is really great. And that's kind of my introduction to Marvel as well. That's why I became such a big Marvel fan, because of all the cosmic stories that were told there. And I eventually went back and read some other like Jim Starlin stuff, Thanos stuff, Adam Warlock, Captain Marvel, etc. And Nova was the big reason why I got into that stuff. So that's another reason. Another reason why I love Nova so much is probably because of how much of an underdog he is, both in universe and out of universe, which I'll explain right now. So in universe, he's an underdog because he's got to protect an entire universe of people. So he's like the only guy. Not until later in the series where he starts recruiting more Novas to start a new corps. He's one guy and he's going from like across the universe. He's the human rocket after all, so he could go really fast across space. And he's also got like slip space portals and stuff he could go through. But anyways, he's got all this stacked up against him, and he still does it because he's got basically this responsibility. I would almost call it a burden, because World Mine is, he's also carrying World Mine, which is like the last remnant of Xandar, and if Nova dies, so does Xandar. So he's basically this vessel of like all their values and all their hardships that they went through, like made flesh, and he's got to safeguard all that as well as the rest of the universe. So he's got an incredible responsibility, even more than Spider-Man, who is kind of similar to Nova in a lot of ways, but I feel like Nova's a far superior character, because Nova ain't worrying about girls or school. Nova's worrying about the end of the universe. Spider-Man, Spider-Man is always doing the same thing. He can never progress as a character, probably because he's so popular, which I guess is kind of benefit to Nova, because he's not that popular. So writers kind of had carte blanche to do whatever they want with him, and that's created lots of good stories in my opinion. So there's that. Uh, then out of universe is kind of underdog because he's not really propped up by Marvel that much. He's not promoted as much as the other superheroes, even though he's one. I would say he's one of the main cosmic characters. So you would think that he's like up there with like Iron Man and stuff like that, but he's not. He's sold well, but not as much as those other characters, which is probably why they haven't promoted him. But I bet you if Marvel relaunched Nova with an amazing creative team and promoted the hell of it, it would be a top-selling book, because this character is incredible, and I don't think Marvel has that much faith in him. And also during the 2012, like after what's it called? After the Thanos Imperative storyline, when they kind of brought back the Guardians and Nova in time for the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, there was a lot of shitting on Nova by the Marvel staff. Like, they didn't really care. There was jokes in the book about him and his name, which is whatever. But like there was like some forums where like editorials like, yeah, we're not gonna bring back Nova, because at this point they replaced him with another character named Sam Alexander, who was like their new hip cool like character, who was like mixed race and like, oh, look at this guy, don't you love him? It's like, nah, we want the old Richard Rider Nova back. But it took us like 5 years for Richard Rider to come back into comics, and he had this really great mini series, which I think it was supposed to be a series, but it got canceled. But it was really good, and we haven't seen him since. I think he's in the current Infinity Wars event, but I'm not reading that because it's just a cash grab, basically. But yeah, so Nova, an underdog, but also like a leader. And that's what I really loved about the character, and I still love about the character. He's probably my favorite superhero alongside Green Lantern, which is kind of ironic, and maybe Captain America or Black Bolt, one of those characters, Silver Surfer. So yeah, quick video, but I wanted to express my thoughts, just explain why I like Nova. There's probably a lot that I have left out, but I could probably do a follow-up if this is received well. So thanks for watching, and talk to you guys all next time. Bye.